Today, we're going to talk about the hidden costs of trading. Not the fees you see on a statement, but the invisible stuff, the friction that can turn a great trade into a losing one before you even know what happened. Let's get right into it. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever had that feeling, you absolutely nail the call? Your analysis is perfect, the chart does exactly what you thought it would, but you look at your P&L and you're somehow down? It's one of the most frustrating things in trading, right?
Well, you're not going crazy. What you're feeling is real. You're up against something we call invisible friction. It's this silent, sneaky cost that just grinds away at your returns, all happening in that tiny gap between the price you think you're getting and the price you actually get.
And here's the kicker. This silent cost, this bad execution, it's often a much, much bigger deal than any trading fee you'll ever pay. Mastering this is not just a small edge. It's absolutely critical.
This really gets to the heart of the whole problem. You can be a genius at predicting market direction, but that's only half the game. If your execution is sloppy, if you accidentally push the price against yourself or you just accept a terrible fill, being right isn't going to save your account.
So to really understand how to fix this, we have to start with the single most important idea in all of trading execution, and that is liquidity. Seriously, everything else builds on this one concept.
So what is it really? Well, the simplest way to think about liquidity is how easily a market can just absorb your trade. In a super liquid market, you can place a pretty big order and the price barely flinches. But in a thin, illiquid market, whoa, even a small trade can send the price flying away from you.
And I love this analogy, it makes it so clear. Think about it like this. The price you see on the chart, that's just the price tag on an item at the grocery store. But the liquidity, that's the actual inventory they have in the back. If there's only one box of cereal left on the shelf and you buy it, the next person to come along faces a totally different situation.
This brings us to a huge mistake that so many traders make. They see a chart with tons of volume and think, oh, great, plenty of liquidity here. But they are not the same thing at all. Volume tells you what happened over the last hour or the last day. Liquidity tells you what you can do right this second.
So, from now on, I want you to change the question you ask yourself. Don't just ask, is this market active? Instead, ask, is this market deep? Is there enough inventory on the books right now to handle the size of the trade I want to make?
Okay, so that idea of depth leads us straight into two other really important terms that people mix up all the time: price impact and slippage. Knowing the difference here is how you protect yourself.
Here's the deal. Price impact is actually kind of predictable. It's the move you should expect to happen just because your order is eating up the available supply. Slippage, on the other hand, is the final total damage report. It includes that price impact, sure, but it also includes any other crazy stuff that happened while your order was flying through the system. And this shows you exactly why it matters. Just imagine placing the exact same $1,000 trade in two different markets. In market A, which is super deep and liquid, your trade goes through like a hot knife through butter. The price barely moves. But in thin market B, that same $1,000 chews through level after level of the order book, and your final average price is way worse. Same trade idea, totally different results.
And this, right here, this might be the most important sentence in this whole explainer. We spend all this time trying to be fortune tellers, right? Predicting the future. But honestly, most of the losses we can actually prevent don't come from bad predictions. They come from just ignoring the market structure that's staring us right in the face.
Okay, so that's the theory. How do we actually use this stuff? Well, we can turn all these ideas into a really simple, practical checklist you can use before every single trade. And listen, this isn't some homework assignment. This is a quick 30-second safety check. It's designed to be fast so you can actually do it and protect yourself from that invisible friction we talked about.
All right, here it is. Step 1, check the depth. Just glance at the order book. Is it thick or thin? Step 2, preview your minimum received. Most platforms show you this. It's your absolute worst-case fill. If that number looks scary, that's a huge red flag. 3, set your slippage tolerance tightly. Don't give the market permission to fill you at a terrible price. 4, if the market is thin but you still want to trade, just reduce your size. A smaller boat makes smaller waves. And finally, step 5, and maybe the most important, know when to just skip the trade. Sometimes, the best move is no move at all.
All right, that was a lot, I know. So let's do a quick recap of the most important takeaways to make sure this all sticks.
So remember these three definitions. Liquidity, that's depth. It's the amount of water in the pool. Price impact, that's the ripple you expect your trade to make. And slippage, that's the final difference between where you thought you'd be and where you actually ended up. Now, your wheels might be turning, and you might be thinking, hey, how does this connect to all that crazy stuff I hear about, like MEV and sandwich attacks? Well, you're on the right track. Setting your slippage way too wide is exactly what leaves the door open for those kinds of exploits. And don't worry, we're going to break that all down in our next explainer. And of course, just our quick but very important reminder, this is all for educational purposes. It is definitely not financial advice. Digital assets are super risky, so please always do your own research.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. The next time you pull up a chart and you're about to click that button, just stop for a second and ask yourself, am I trading the picture on the screen, or am I trading the reality of the market structure? Honestly, the answer to that question could change everything for you. Thanks for watching.